most probably that's a correct answer. Okay, so that's how use of English and reading components look like. And in general, my mission was not so to present the test, because so much information, yeah, do like this, do like this. So this is something that you are to cover gradually and not on the level of theory, but on a practical level, when you live through that, when you apply the theory, and then you really take advantage of this theory. My motivation was rather to inspire you to start harboring this idea, project of taking this test, challenging yourself, developing yourself, assessing yourself, discovering who you are at this particular moment. And and of course to cooperate with Exzellent, and take advantage of all those beautiful tools that they have on offer. And if you would like to receive my humble services, I am always open to cooperation. So would be really happy to lead you to your success and to your lovely certificate. So thank you very much. And if we don't have any questions, then I give a mic to the next speaker. Thank you, friends. Thank you for being with us. Hope you heard something useful. I don't see any questions, so everything is clear. Well, the way I said, questions appear when we start on practice doing things, and then questions arise. So maybe it's not yet time for questions, but hopefully we will reach that point when you will have some questions. Okay, all right. So I don't see. Aha, already. Saravi.
Hi.
Namaste. Hello, hello.
Hi, Rio, and hi, everyone. Rio, you're not audible. No.
I can hear you. Hello?
Yeah, Alejandro, you're audible, but Rio is not. Okay, no problem, I think. I will take over. So thank you so much, Shivona. That was really great of you to explain how to do the exam prep. And really, certifications can be very daunting. I have personally been through DTP, and the exam preparation experience was quite daunting. And thank you so much for all the tips and tricks. And I would like to take from here on. So, this is the third part of today's webinar, where I will be guiding you towards how exactly the companies are in the current industry and what most of the people miss when they start applying for jobs, and how you can really close the gap and be ahead of the 90% people out there. And you can also beat even the experts in the market with what I'm going to tell you today. All right, so my name is Saurabhi, and I have 7+ of IT industry experience, and I'm currently a product consultant. So let's start. Before we begin, I would like to have a quick yes or no. How many of you are between 0 to 1 year of experience? Can I just have a yes or a no? No. Okay. No. All right. More than 1 year? Like, can you put a count, whether 2, 3, 4, 5, so that I understand what point I have to navigate you towards? 6 plus, Raj. Great. And how many of you really find it daunting to have your customized application strategy? Like you are not aware of where you really belong, despite of having experience or no experience. A quick yes or a no? That's great, Raj. Shamil. All right, then. Let's dive in today's presentation, and I believe I will be able to help you better with what I'm going to present. Let me just share my screen. Let me know if it's clearly visible to everyone. All right. We'll take this at the bottom. So, why it is important that you know what kind of companies exist, how are they categorized, and where actually you belong, and how your CV is kept apart. Like there are two divisions. Yes, no, yes, no. That's what goes on in the minds of a recruiter. So let's jump on to what exactly the companies are in the market. There are these many types of companies. We can see there are five main types. Let's understand what is pre-seed. Pre-seed is that it's just an idea. There are one to three, one to five people. There are no funds yet. It's just an idea. People are looking for funds and they are looking for people to get a team on board. And the nature of such kind of team and company is highly risky. There are people with different expertise trying to build something that is an idea they already know, or they are themselves trying to experiment. Or most of the times, people start with a notion that, hey, let's make a copycat product, and in a new market, let's copy something which is in US and build it up in Europe, and let's sell it after 2 to 3 years. That's how most of the companies start, even the ones which are currently being sold. All right, that's the first stage. The second stage is called as seed. Now, seed means what? There's an MVP. MVP is a minimum viable product. A minimum viable product consists of core features that, hey, this is the core, and upon this, different features or the product will be built. And they may be bootstrapped. Bootstrap means the founder or the founders may have put money from their own pockets, or else they might have taken loan from the bank or loan from the friends or from investors, and then they have some budget to take the product ahead. Then there are Series A B. What does that mean? Series AB companies are already registered, established companies. These companies have minimum 1 to 50 people, 100 people. When you check on LinkedIn, if you filter people, companies with minimum 10 to 50 companies, you know they are Series AB, or they are the companies existing since 5 to 6 years, and they may or may not have found their product market fit yet. Now, this applies till Series AB, it applies to the product companies, but the overall structure is also applicable for any kind of company in any industry, be it IT, in automobile, or anywhere, even consultancy or project based. And the Series AB company, they are on the verge of growth. How do you know that they are growing? Their hirings, look at the people, their post. Are they communicating it on LinkedIn or any other channel? Are they raising funds? Are they expanding, scaling to different other countries, known as MNC, multinational companies typically? All right. And usually the startups, depending on what kind of startup it's like Lovable, Base 44, something new or something new in green tech, having great good funds. And these Series AB company, they select highly qualified people, proactive. The nature of people working in these companies is somewhat like founders themselves. The DNA of the employees is they are proactive, and they own everything that they do, and there's nobody to assign you tasks. They meet collectively, they discuss, and they own whatever initiative they are trying to propose. So that's the DNA of Series AB. And then comes scale up. Scale ups can be like 100 to 500 people, and they are established, they are expanding, and they are doing good. They are doing fairly good. They have already found the product market fit. Now, what is product market fit? An important concept to understand. How exactly your product serves the right market. Is it made for the market, or is it made for the target audience? Are you having enough audience? Do they constantly sign? The churn rate is very low. These all things are considered in Series ABN scale up. And you're 100% sure that yes, your product is fit for these audience and the market. And it usually takes, 6 months to maximum 1.5 year or 2 to 3 years to exactly find product market fit, depending on what product it is or what service they are trying to offer. And then the last category, which is enterprise, more than 500 employees in one company. They have global operations. Their products or their services are mature, they are established. You can consider any company, like right from automobile to IT. It can be BMW, Volkswagen, it can be something like TCS, it can be Infosys, it can be EY, the Big Four, FANG, MANG, all those. So they are big enterprises in any industry. So this is how we broadly classify all the companies in any industry. And with every kind of company setup, there are different kinds of um, company DNA or employee DNA. Let's say you go for a startup. The startup world is like you wear multiple hats. You have to do a lot of things. And when you enter companies which are Series A, B, scale up, or enterprise, you have one dedicated role, and you do that again and again and again. And maybe you have to overwork or no, that really depends on the company culture. But if you want to understand what your personality is and what amount of time you can dedicate to which companies, you can go by this template, understanding the companies and then measuring your personality against each of them. Let's dive deeper in what exactly, how these are categorized further. Now, when it comes to enterprise, let's stick to the four major categories that people usually prefer. People usually don't prefer startups or something which is just seed, because you never know. You don't have job security. What if startups don't work? What if after 6 or 7 months the funds are exhausted and you have no idea how to really navigate? That's the risk with startups. With the bigger enterprises, there are different kinds of risks. Let's say they decide to have mass suspensions, like mass hiring, correct? So these are the problems with the big four categories. Then the famous terms usually include big four. The big four are Deloitte, KPMG, EY, and PwC. Now, these are consulting firms. So, what do you mean by consulting firms? They are not product companies. They may have internal products of their own, but consulting firms, in sense, there are so many companies. Let's say a bank. A bank is a customer of PwC because they are into auditing. EY, a huge, large group of consultants. There's someone out there in automobile who needs an IT division. They want to build their own product. So they don't hire employees under their umbrella because they have expertise in something one. And you don't know what happens in IT, right? So they will approach EY or KPMG and they will give their product to these companies to build. Then there is McKinsey, BCG, Roland Berger, Accenture. These are management consulting. Management consulting has to do everything with organization structure, global operations, finance management, and so many other things. You can see elite networking, travel intensive, um, consultants who have more than 5 years of experience, 10 years of experience, SCP consultants, consultants of specific niche. They are into Big Four and management consulting companies. And then there is third category, FMCG or consumer. All the products that you use, right from your toothpaste to anything that is tangible like a product, they come into FMCG. Mostly they are daily need products, food products. The famous names are Unilever, P&G, Henkel, Beiersdorf. As it defines, these are fast-moving consumer goods. And Germany has a global headquarters for most of them. So most of the FMCG companies, they are with production units. So you need operations, you need manufacturing knowledge, you need to have Six Sigma, Kanban, Kaizen, all these kinds of knowledge, which are different from IT industries. And FMCGs, they may or may not have their own digital department or IT department, or they may just outsource it to someone. Outsourcing is a common word. Outsourcing of employees, outsourcing of projects. For example, KPMG. KPMG has many clients like DB and so on. So what KPMG does is they hire expert consultants who are mechanical engineers who know how the in and out of engine goes like, and they give these resources with the knowledge, obviously, to Deutsche Bahn. And the payment and everything is with KPMG, but they work as a dedicated clients to one particular company. It may be any company. So that is what outsourcing is called as. And then there is one specific to Germany, which is Mittelstand. Now, what does Mittelstand mean? These are Germany's hidden champions. Why hidden? They're barely on Google search, they're barely on LinkedIn. You can see them when you walk across the street. You can just see, oh, this is a company. But when you look on internet, they may not be on Google Maps. They may barely have a website or something, but they are the companies since ages. These are family-owned businesses, real estates, law firms, manufacturers of various automobiles. These companies are suppliers to big names like BMW, Volkswagen, and so many other companies. Even small fintech, tax-related software manufacturing companies are also Mittelstand companies. And how do you find them? That you need to really integrate yourself in the local job boards or make yourself go out on some street and just find these companies. And these are the German speaking companies. So you need to have really good German skills. So we have just seen how the broader categories of companies are labeled and then the bigger names and how they are categorized. But right now comes the third and important part. How many of you are aware that you have worked in a company which was ISO certified, or you have ISO audits in your company, or security audits? Have you heard words like penetration testing? We have different kinds of CMMI level 5 audits. Anyone? Yes, no, me? Any kind of response that I can get? No one? No one has ever been through an ISO audit? Or nobody knows why these certifications are important? And what exactly has this to do with job search? All right, then. Let's begin. Why these are so important and how does this really impact your career? So, companies with ISO certifications like 9001, 27001, 25010, they have standardized processes. So usually while applying, people prefer at least an ISO certified company because these companies have standard processes, everything is stable. There's very less chance that the company will be tanked and you will face a job loss or they will just remove you out of nowhere. That's a very little risk. And hence, when people apply for jobs, they don't just randomly apply. So this is the third and the most important bet that people take while they really apply to something, to some kind of a job. Okay. So when you look for company, check if there is an ISO certification. If there's ISO 9001, which is quality management, you can see what quality management deals with, proper documented processes that are repeating process. All the employees are aware of what exactly they have to follow, how things are reviewed, how things are audited, including systems. Then the second important certification is ISO 27001, which is information security. All the products and services, they undergo penetration testing. There is a strict GDPR, strict follow-up of all the rules that the company employees are aware, the processes are established. There's a cycle with ISO certifications, like even the software quality, information and quality management, or any health tech, real estate, travel tech companies that certain in this month, in this quarter, there will be some kind of ritual for audit. You need to maintain your documents. You have to make sure that whatever you do, the KT is properly transferred. When the employees join the onboarding process, when they leave, everything is standardized. Each and everything is on paper. And then comes the giant of all, which is CMMI, level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the maturity levels. And usually the big companies that we saw, Big Four, Mang, Fang, FMCG companies, these are CMMI level 4 or 5. So now what happens is in these companies, how the recruiters select you. Once they see a tag of any Big Four company, they are aware, okay, this person is aware of CMMI audits, ISO audits, so we don't really have to train them so much. They are aware of the cultural practices. They come with a good discipline. And then your CV is picked up and put into a lot of tick. Yeah, this person is eligible to interview. And the same happens with ISO and other certifications. The recruiters check specifically which company do you come from, in case if you have a broader level of experience. And this is the reason why many people choose bigger companies, established companies, even if the salary is low. Because in IT, there's a culture, people change their companies multiple times, and the past companies' verification is done. And I hope that by now you are aware that why knowledge of companies or certifications is really important when you approach a certain kind of a job. Now you will be able to filter your Boolean search on LinkedIn in a better way or on Google in a better way. You know your preferences. You know what kind of person you are. Are you okay with ad hoc chaos and bringing structure to the chaos? Then any kind of company is open to you, especially startups, Series A, B, enterprise. And if you know that you need a comfortable life, you need typical 9 to 5, or you need processes, you are expert in ISO because you have been through that kind of a process. You're expert in GDPR, different kind of compliances. So now you know what goes on your CV. If you come from these certifications, then the best thing is you highlight on your LinkedIn in your resume, compliance driven so and so person. Like I mentioned, compliance driven product manager, because I know how to deal with all these complex levels of audits because I have been through that process. And that is a leverage. Okay. How many of you are with me in this? Like, is it clear? Do you want me to explain certain point? Can I have a quick answer before we move on to the next part? All right. Right. How to choose the right company. Let's see some red flags and some green flags. So all this time, you might have analyzed your own personality, like where do I really fit? Whether you are good for startups, whether you're good for the certified companies. And even if I am eligible for the bigger companies, how do I really tap there? This is exactly what we covered in the previous webinar, but I will give you some insights at the end of this webinar. Let's stick to this. How do you choose? What are the green flags? So any company that is well established comes with a clear structure. They know what they are doing. They have clear-cut understanding of the number of interviews they are supposed to take. They never break their processes unless you are really special, someone, and really skillful. Um, every company has someone over them as a mentor or a buddy to help you along, which is apart from shadowing or KT when you join a new company, especially when you're joining from scratch, which is also known as buddy project in some of the companies. These companies, which are good, they will always have one-on-one with your manager. The manager will always be responsible for you, especially your reporting manager, and they will make sure that your performance is on track, the KPIs are on track, you get feedback on time so that nothing slips. The ratings of this company is more than 3.8 or 4.0. And that's how you know that, okay, if so many people have rated good, just read in between the lines how the company culture is. Glassdoor ratings are best to understand the company culture. What kind of people exist? How many gender tolerance is done? Do they really tolerate people from different cultural backgrounds? Are they open with understanding different languages? And the standard work of language can be anything. So, this is what you understand from the Glassdoor rating, which is very personal to you. Then there are international or diverse teams visible on LinkedIn. Just go on LinkedIn and find how many people work in that company. There you know whether you are the right fit for the teams because people come from cultures and cultures shape the working in an environment. The tech stack is clearly listed. There are no mystery tools. So when you see job descriptions, they come with certain tools. Jira is most common, Confluence is most common, Figma is most common. So when certain company has mentioned that we use these tools, it means they are not going to easily change it. They may be on subscriptions or B2B contracts with these tool providers. And you know that, okay, they are following something one. They are not a startup who will just overnight change the process, which won't be a headache when you join the company, right? And then there is take home task or trial day instead of 5 interview rounds. Now, this is something which is really debatable. I have known some companies with more than 4 to 5 rounds, and they're really big companies, and the interview process is exhausting. It is said also by the talent acquisition, if any company has more than 4 rounds, they don't know what they're doing. Really don't know what kind of person you're looking for. Why do you really need to scrutinize so much? Because even after that, the probation period has to be served. And the interview process typically should close within 3 to 4 weeks, which is 30 days. If it's taking more than 30 days, it's a yellow flag. And if it's more than 45 days, it's a red flag. So when you approach any company, have these structures in mind. This is good for research. When you read a job description, you can quickly understand certain things about the company and its culture. So this is how you read in between the lines. Okay. And there are some red flags. Fast-paced environment, many hats. It's chaotic. Trust me, it gets chaotic because I have been in those environments. And there's no established structure till you get at least an ISO level certificate. And yeah, this link will be shared with you, so you can also go through all the details later after this webinar. Um, let's jump on to the second important part. In most of the interviews, they ask a common question. What will you do in the first 30 days? What will you do in the first 60 days? What will you do in the first 90 days? Why is this important? They want to understand, first, are you the right fit? And second, they have an understanding of how you will be throughout the probation period. The probation period is typically 3 months, and in some companies, more than 3 months, 6 months. It's never more than 6 months. So, how do you really go about is established in the window of 30, 60, and 90 days. And why are the first 30 days extremely critical? Okay, so I won't take much time. This may look daunting, but I will explain to you quickly how usually things happen in the first 1 to 30 days. When you are asked this question, what will you do in your first 90 days, 30 days, 60 days? Start from the basics, start from one day itself. Building relationships with the stakeholders, understanding what are the success metrics of each stakeholder or each department, especially when they ask you, how will you work with senior stakeholders? Understand everyone has their own impact to be bought in their product or the service. That's Those are the two important points. The third is that understanding the product or the service or your given task very well, and you document everything. You study the historic data. If the company is established, you study the historic data. Certain decisions were made, why were they made, and how the things are going ahead, understanding of the roadmap, and how you are supposed to contribute. You must have this plan right in front of your eyes. Okay, like starting a learning log. When you are starting in that company, maintain your own personal log. How you studied, what did you study, what you may be missing. Um, Segregate people in different circles. The people with authority, the people who make decisions, the one who are builders are the engineering team, the people who need to be kept in loop, informed category, which is marketing, sales, or cross-functional teams. And once you divide the stakeholders in these categories, you know how to approach them. So when they ask you a question, how would you collaborate? This is how you collaborate. You understand who are the stakeholders, you know whom to involve in your processes depending on these categories. Then the second month starts, 31 to 60 days. This is actually when you actually take up the task. All the tools are given to you. The person who gave you KT is no more. You are completely alone, single person army. You take the stand-ups, you take the Jira tickets, feedback loops. You learn, you give tasks to your coordinators, unless you're not a junior, or you receive tasks. You have a voice. You start having a voice and you start giving opinions. This is what you do in the second phase. Important thing in second phase is that you document everything and you understand that what would be the outcome, because you are working for an outcome. You are not simply working for an output. The outcome should be in terms of time saved, money saved, increase of revenue. This should be your mental model. And then the third month onwards, this is when people start actually measuring your outcome. They start seeing your performance since day one, but they start measuring your outcome from the third month. They see what have you done, what impact have you brought. It takes some time to bring impact. With AI these days, it's very easy. You bring prototypes, you build advanced codes, you build advanced systems, advanced diagrams. So the impact phase can be moved even to the second month itself. You start seeking feedback. All your closest relationships, all the people on authority, the people who are closely working with you, keep on asking them, are we on track? Is there anything you faced that need improvements? This is retrospective. Okay. So you always ask the people closest to you, is there anything that needs to be changed? Not listen to everyone, but if it is impacting the work, if it impacts the time, the revenue, and the resources, the resource capacity, definitely take that feedback. All right. Now, let's go back to the previous slide. We'll talk about delivery methods in IT companies. So, how typically Agile works. In Agile, there are three popular ways, two actually, Scrum and Kanban. And then there is another way, which is with the startups, which we saw with team members 0 to 50 or Series AV, pre-seed, seed. That is lean startup. It's a different methodology. So today we will focus on Scrum. What happens in Scrum? What are the rituals? So first, let me explain you the meaning, what a sprint is. Just like you run, there's a sprint. One person runs and the next carries on. So sprint means a time frame. Typically, sprint lasts from half day to 15 days. Most of the time, it's 2 weeks because you need in that one sprint of 2 weeks, You develop something, it gets tested. The sprint is never 100% occupied. It never should be. It should always be 80% of development and testing time. So you develop something and then you test it. Test is 1/4 of the developer's time. Those are some standard rules which we usually follow in the industry. All right. And the 20%, which is the remaining, is for bug fixing, for doing some last minute changes. Now, this internal structure can be changed depending on what your product is and what you're trying to achieve. Every sprint comes with an outcome based goal. You have to achieve some goal. It should never be like incomplete. Let's develop phase one, which has no outcome, and phase two in the rest. It never happens this way. It should always be backed by a goal. It should always be something complete, and then it's called a sprint. And it's the job of a scrum master how to run a sprint, or the product owner in product companies, which is CSPO, Scrum Certified Product Owners. Okay. Before a sprint begins, there's sprint planning. There's a huge backlog of products. There are many ideas. The backlog is arranged from which goes first in the sprint to which goes last in the order of priority. And you pick up the ideas from the backlog, you move it to the sprint only when they are complete, only when the user stories are well written, only when it has a success criteria, it has an acceptance criteria. Nothing goes in the sprint without acceptance criteria. If someone is assigning you any ticket without acceptance criteria, make sure you point it before and it is written. Otherwise, you don't know what you're building. That's a failure. That's the biggest red flag. Okay. Now that is about sprint planning. The sprint begins. It's dedicated. The tools are automated that you end it. If you don't end, it's a negative point because you're carrying it forward. Okay. Every day there's a daily standard. Now, whether you run a sprint or no, Scrum or Kanban or whatever, there's stand-up. In stand-up, everyone comes together. They decide what you did yesterday, what are you doing today, and what do you aim to work tomorrow. Okay, that's it. Stand-up is only of maximum 15 minutes, no matter how big the team. So a sprint, a Scrum team has maximum 15 members. Why? 1 minute each person. You should be able to explain what are you doing within a minute. Okay? It's nothing more than that. Any other discussion is parking lot. Take it later, the daily standard. And then there is backlog. Yeah, so backlog grooming comes first, which is usually 1-2 hours. It's a big job. Then there is sprint planning, depending on how big the sprint is. Then there is a daily stand-up, which happens every day. After the sprint is over, there's retrospective. Retrospective should always be within a week of the previous sprint got over. And it is with all the teams where people discuss what you did, what went wrong, and what is the scope of improvement, so that you do not do the mistakes again and you improve your working style and the feedback loops. Okay. In middle of the sprint, there is a review, a sprint review, where at the end of each sprint, a day or two before, you give a demo. Every developer, every QA gives a demo of what they have done. And are you on track? Okay. This happens in product companies, also with the project-based companies. There are internal stand-ups with the client. So there's a lot of prep work in there. And then there is one-on-one with the manager. Usually that is every week, and then that can be every bi-weekly, like every twice in a month. Depends on what it is. It's like a walkthrough. And if you have it with a manager, always ask for feedback. Always ask what progress you've made and make a note of it, so that when your performance evaluation time comes, you have a proof that, hey, I did follow up for the feedback. You didn't give me the right feedback. So that's how you negotiate, especially during the promotions and salary time. Always ask for a feedback from the reporting managers and always from the closest people whom you're working and collaborating with. All right. So I believe we are above the time. It's 15 minutes of the time, and I have covered two important parts. First is what kind of companies exist, especially in IT, and then what are the rituals. And we have covered the most common framework, which is Scrum, widely adopted, widely practiced. It's a delivery management method. Most of the times, you will see agile delivery management. This is what they talk about. In the next webinars, we can also cover Kanban, what is lean startup, what is scaled agile, and so many other methods. All right. So let me know your feedback quickly in the chat that how did you think about today's webinar? Did it serve you? Um, how do you think it was on a scale of 1 to 10? What rating would you give? Anyone? Nine? Thanks, Raj. Also, you can text us that what would you like to know more? What would you like to know more? The insiders of IT industry or how the deliveries happen, negotiations, so that we can plan better webinars and workshops for you all. Thanks, Raj. That's a good feedback. All right. This is the end of our webinar, and this presentation will be shared with you. So thank you so much. We always have various workshops and webinars, and stay tuned, know more what we are coming up with. And also, we have a career analysis one-on-one in case if you're interested to check the CV and your LinkedIn, we give you one-on-one. And for that, you can contact your brother or other team members who will get back with better details. So thank you so much and have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.